Okay, we back in it, y'all. Um, we did a video earlier today, top the five best teams to join and no, the top teams to join in NBA 2K26. We got this one right here. This is called the top five teams to join for each position in NBA 2K26. I want this to be more in depth. I hope it is. This is 31 minutes. I don't know if we're gonna watch everyone. We might watch a few of them, and then most of these we might just look over if they got like the names of them in the comments. I mean, in the timeline. Anyways, let's get right to it.
Back with another YouTube video. Today going over the top 5 teams to join for each position in NBA 2K26 MyCareer. Now of course this list is going to be subjective, so let me know whether you agree or not in the comment section down below. Now without further ado, getting started with the point guard position, I have a couple of honorable mentions to shout out, starting with the New Orleans Pelicans. Now the Pelicans of course have Zion Williamson, which could be an incredible lob threat, get some easy assists.
Well, Jordan Poole went to the New Orleans Pelicans. Was that because of the Brandon Ingram trade? I don't know. Well, let's keep watching. I thought he was still on the Wizards.
Assists with lob passes, and then you have some great two-way wings in Trey Murphy and Herb Jones. The main reason I have them as an honorable mention here is 1, because they already have DeJounte Murray, and 2, having Jordan Poole on the roster, the notorious shot chucker himself. It might not be the best idea to be on the same team with him. Of course, it really depends what kind of tendencies that 2K gives Jordan Poole in NBA 2K26, but I would definitely be a little bit hesitant to go to the New Orleans Pelicans. Another honorable mention I want to shout out is the Toronto Raptors, with Scotty Barnes at the power forward, Brandon Ingram at the small forward, RJ Barrett at the shooting guard position, and Jakob Poeltl at the center. You have a great, well-rounded starting lineup. Of course, as the point guard, you'd be replacing Emmanuel Quickley, but this is once again an honorable mention because the Raptors do not have that deep of a bench right now. There is a reason that they were towards the bottom of the Eastern Conference in the 2024 to 2025 NBA season. So ultimately, they did not make the cut for the top 5 teams. Alright, so starting with team number 5 for the point guards, we have none other than the Minnesota Timberwolves. Anthony Edwards, a 95 overall.
I know I paused. I'm not gonna keep pausing. I was just looking at that trade for Jordan Poole. They got what is it? The Pelicans acquired Paul Sadiq Bey in the 40th overall pick in the 2025 NBA draft. And in return, the Wizards, they got CJ McCollum and Kelly Olynyk and a future second round pick. The trade was finalized in early July 2025. I didn't know that. I thought he was still in the Wizards. That's why I was so, Kelly Olynyk and CJ McCollum, that's not bad.
At the shooting guard position, and of course you got some great bigs on this roster too. You got Julius Randle, you got Naz Reid, and you have Rudy Gobert. Not only that, you have another two-way forward in Jaden McDaniels, and then off the bench you got Dante DiVincenzo and the veteran Joe Ingles. And with the starting point guard being 37-year-old Mike Conley, it shouldn't be much of a difficulty to make it up to the starting position as a point guard. Okay, the 4th best team to join as a point guard in NBA 2K26 MyCareer, I have none other than the Houston Rockets, with the recently acquired Kevin Durant as a 93 overall. You also have Alperen Şengün at the center position. You've got a defensive shooting guard in Amen Thompson. And then, of course, you also have some other great forwards that could pair well with a point guard, such as Jabari Smith Jr. and Dorian Finney-Smith. And then let's not forget the backup centers, Clint Capella and Steven Adams. Yes, neither of them are that high of an overall, but they have excelled throughout their careers as pick-and-roll big men, and I don't see that being any different in NBA 2K26. The point guard you'd be replacing in the starting lineup for the Houston Rockets is none other than Fred VanVleet, whose 2K Community Day rating was set at an 80 overall. The 3rd best team to join as a point guard in NBA 2K26 MyCareer would be the Milwaukee Bucks, with Giannis Antetokounmpo as the highest rated player on this team at 97 overall. And then, of course, you have the recently acquired Miles Turner from free agency. He was just in the NBA Finals playing for the Indiana Pacers. He's going to be the starting center for the Milwaukee Bucks. So that right there off the bat is two incredible big men to have on your roster as a point guard. Great for the pick and roll game. Of course, you also have Bobby Portis Jr. off the bench. You have Kyle Kuzma. You have Gary Trent Jr. And the point guard that you would be replacing is likely either going to be Cole Anthony or Kevin Porter Jr. And from Community Day, both of them were rated at a 77 and a 76 overall. The second best team to join as a point guard in NBA 2K26 MyCareer, the Sacramento Kings. And I know what you're thinking. Why in the world would I want to play for the Kings franchise? They've been a poverty franchise for decades. But hear me out, right? They have Domantas Sabonis, a great pairing with a point guard for NBA 2K26 MyCareer. They've got DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine, both lob threats. Yes, DeRozan is getting a little bit older now. He's 36 years old, but in 2K, he's still a great player. You got Keegan Murray, who's a stretch forward. You have the athletic shooting talent in Malik Monk, another 3-and-D guard in Keon Ellis, and the point guard you would be replacing is Dennis Schroeder. Now, of course, there have been rumors in real life that Westbrook may join the Sacramento Kings, but for now, Dennis Schroeder would be the point guard that you'd be replacing. If Westbrook were to get signed in real life, then you'd be replacing an aging Russell Westbrook. And the number one team that you should aim to join in NBA 2K26 MyCareer as a point guard is none other than the Orlando Magic. In this offseason, they acquired Desmond Bane. He is a great 3-and-D shooting guard, small forward type player. You've got Paolo, of course, at the power forward. You got Franz Wagner at the small forward. And should I add, all of these guys are very young in age. Paolo, of course, is 22, Franz Wagner 23, Desmond Bane 27. You got the starting center, Wendell Carter Jr. at 26 years old. So these are players that are young. A few of them are already star-level talent. And you're going to be upgrading your skills alongside these other players as you go throughout your career. Do I even need to mention all of the young talent off the bench? There's plenty of backup bigs that can easily fill in and be a pick-and-roll pairing. And the point guard you would be replacing in the starting lineup is Jalen Suggs, now that, of course, Cole Anthony is on the Milwaukee Bucks.
Ain't that like the best player?
Okay, now for the shooting guards. Honorable mention here, the Detroit Pistons. They have quite a few shooting guards on the roster, which is why I did not put them in the top 5. However, their starting shooting guard right now is Jaden Ivey, who is a 79 overall, followed by Karis LeVert, who is in 78 overall. They're not terrible players by any means, and Jaden Ivey is still very young and still plenty of room to grow and develop. But as far as MyCareer goes, that is a great opportunity to get put right in and work your way up to the starting lineup as quickly as possible. Of course, you have Cade Cunningham at a 92 overall as the starting point guard. You have Asar Thompson, a defensive wing at the small forward position. You have Duncan Robinson off the bench, a three-point assassin. You've got an aging Tobias Harris, who can be a good three-point threat. And then you got some young bigs that would be really great to pair with your point guard in the pick-and-roll game. Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart, and Paul Reed. Of course, the downside to these guys is they're a little bit on the shorter side, with Jalen Duren being the tallest at 6'10". Big Stu, he's at 6'8", and Paul Reed's at 6'9". So that is why they are not in the top 5 and why I'm giving them an honorable mention here. So for the 5th best team to join as a shooting guard in NBA 2K26 MyCareer, I am giving that honor to the Golden State Warriors. We have a 37-year-old Stephen Curry. He's on his way out the door, but he needs a Splash Brother pairing. The best he's got right now is Buddy Hield, but coming in here with your My Player as a shooting guard, a three-point threat, the new Splash Brothers are in town, and what a way to give Curry one last ring and get the Warriors another championship. Not only do you have Steph Curry on the team, but of course, during last season, the Warriors acquired Jimmy Butler, who's also starting to age. He's 35 years old. Draymond Green, he's 35 years old. but you
PJ
still
Morgan.
have some good young talent here. You got Quentin Post at the center position, 7 feet tall at 25 years old. You, of course, also have Moses Moody at the small forward position. So this roster definitely has some potential coming in as a shooting guard. The fourth best team to join as a shooting guard in NBA 2K26 MyCareer, we're going to go with the Memphis Grizzlies. You got Ja Morant as the starting point guard. You got Jaren Jackson Jr. at the power forward and or center position. Of course, the Grizzlies recently acquired Ty Jerome, who can fill in at the shooting guard or point guard position. And then you have Zach Edey on this team as well, one of my favorite young players in the league today at 7 foot 4 inches. So you have a great point guard and some great bigs to pair with on the Memphis Grizzlies. And the player who you'd be fighting for a starting position on this team as a shooting guard would be either Ty Jerome or Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. The third best team to join as a shooting guard in NBA 2K26 MyCareer, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Of course, just coming off their first ever NBA championship, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander winning the MVP and Finals MVP. And then, of course, you got at small forward Jalen Williams. You got Chet Holmgren, who can fill in at the power forward or the center position. You got Hartenstein at the center position. And then the player you'd be taking over for at the shooting guard position would be either Lou Dort or Alex Caruso. Now, of course, in real life, Alex Caruso, a crucial part to this team in 2K, maybe, maybe not. Again, same with Lou Dort. So you could come in here with your My Player, and they're both rated at around the low 80s, and getting into that starting position should not be too much trouble for you. The second best team to join as a shooting guard in NBA 2K26 MyCareer, the Dallas Mavericks. They have nearly all the pieces that a team would need to contend for an NBA championship. Of course, barring injuries, you got Kyrie Irving at the point guard position. You got Cooper Flagg, the rookie, coming in at the small forward. You got Anthony Davis at the power forward position. And then you got the duo of Gafford and Lively at the center position. The starting shooting guard currently is Klay Thompson. Of course, he's starting to age a bit in terms of the NBA. He's 35 years old. He doesn't have many years left in his career, and he's at rocking a 79 overall. So taking over the starting position for shooting guard from Klay should not be too difficult and should be a nice fit with the rest of this roster. And then do I even need to mention the fact that, this team was in the 2024 NBA Finals, and quite a few of those players are still in the team, and there's some other players that a shooting guard could pair well with as well. You got PJ Washington at the power forward, you got Najee Marshall at the forward position as well. Overall, a solid roster that a shooting guard should be able to plug in very quickly. And the best team to join as a shooting guard in NBA 2K26 MyCareer, I have the Denver Nuggets, with 98 overall, Nikola Jokic at the center, Jamal Murray at the point guard position. And then in the offseason, they acquired Cam Johnson from the Brooklyn Nets, trading away Michael Porter Jr. You got Aaron Gordon, so you have both of them at the forward positions. You also have Christian Braun that would likely be starting as a shooting guard, although that is technically considered his secondary position, with his primary position being the small forward. And then you have Tim Hardaway Jr., who is an NBA veteran and is slowly transitioning into an NBA journeyman. He did spend quite a few years on the Dallas Mavericks, but recently has been bouncing around. He was on the Detroit Pistons, now just joining this Nuggets team. And then currently, Valanciunas is still on the roster as the backup center, a nice addition to this roster. So the way I see it, a shooting guard could be the third piece of a big three in Denver with Jokic, Murray, and your My Player. Moving on to the small forward position, I have an honorable mention here, and this one may be a little bit controversial. Let me know in the comments what you think about this one in particular. I have the Milwaukee Bucks as an honorable mention. And I know that might seem kind of weird because you're looking at this roster and you're thinking, well, Kyle Kuzma's here. Yeah, he's not very great. You know, he's regressed quite a bit in recent seasons. And of course, you got Giannis, who could fill in as small forward, power forward, center. But the way I look at this is if you were to create more of a point forward player. Because, of course, the Milwaukee Bucks were the third best team on my list for joining as a point guard. I think having a point forward here on the Milwaukee Bucks could prove to be very useful. And this team would have a ton of insane length and height in adding a point forward. That being said, moving on to the fifth best team to join as a small forward in NBA 2K26 MyCareer, I have the Phoenix Suns, who recently acquired some more guards on the roster. In fact, they have, in my opinion, too many guards. They've got Devin Booker. They've got Jalen Green. They have Grayson Allen. They have Dylan Brooks, who on this roster is listed as a power forward, but I would argue is more of a guard, especially considering his height at 6'6". The Suns also have some young centers in Mark Williams and Nick Richards. And as far as the starting small forward position goes, the best rated player on this roster at small forward is Nigel Hayes-Davis and Royce O'Neal. And of course, let's not forget Ryan Dunn, all rated in the mid-70s. Shouldn't be much of a problem to take over the starting position. And then, of course, you already have the superstar Devin Booker. You've got another scorer in Jalen Green. You could form a big three with them and have some decent bigs on the roster as well. For the fourth best team to join as a small forward in NBA 2K26 MyCareer, I have the San Antonio Spurs. Victor Wembanyama, rated in the mid-90s. The recently acquired De'Aaron Fox, the starting point guard. You got Stephon Castle at the shooting guard position. You got Devin Vassell. You've got Harrison Barnes at the small forward. That's who you'd have to battle for the starting position on this roster as a small forward. And the bench is no joke. You got the rookie Dylan Harper, Jeremy Sohan. You got Luke Cornett from the Celtics, Kelly Olynyk. A very well-rounded roster with an insane superstar on this team. It could definitely be a very fun trio of De'Aaron Fox, You're My Player, and Victor Wembanyama. The third best team to join as a small forward in NBA 2K26 MyCareer, I'm bringing up the Memphis Grizzlies once again. We mentioned them before as the fourth best team to join as a shooting guard. Now as a small forward, they could definitely use someone. They traded away Desmond Bane for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and some other pieces. And honestly, just looking at this roster, again, you got Ja Morant at the point guard position. You got Ty Jerome, who would likely be filling in as the shooting guard in the starting lineup, possibly Kentavious Caldwell-Pope instead. And then outside of that, I mean, you got Jaren Jackson Jr. as the power forward. You got either Brandon Clark or Zach Edey as the starting center. And, at this point, it looks like Aldama or Jalen Wells would be the starting small forward in the mid to high 70s overall. So that should be easy to take over. And the Grizzlies could use another athletic superstar to form a big three with Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. The second best team to join as a small forward in NBA 2K26 MyCareer, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers. That is the one weak spot on their roster as far as their starting lineup goes. They've got Darius Garland at the 1. They got Donovan Mitchell at the 2. And right now at the 3, I've seen a few different lineups. You got DeAndre Hunter. You've got Max Strus that could fill in at the 3 as well. And then, of course, at the 4, you got Evan Mobley. And at the 5, you have Jarrett Allen. So the small forward is definitely the weak link in the starting lineup. DeAndre Hunter from the Community Day ratings is rated an 80 overall. It shouldn't be too difficult to take his spot in the starting lineup for this Cleveland team. And then, of course, off the bench, you got Lonzo Ball, acquired by the Cavaliers recently. You got Dean Wade. Despite not meeting expectations in real life last season, the Cavaliers are definitely a championship contender in the NBA 2K26 MyCareer mode, joining them as a small forward.
And
the best team to join as a small forward in NBA 2K26 MyCareer, I have the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, you might think this is a little crazy that I have the 76ers over the Cleveland Cavaliers, but hear me out, okay? You got Joel Embiid as the starting center, and assuming no crazy injuries in 2K, He should be playing a majority of the games. You got Tyrese Maxey as the starting point guard. You got Jared McCain, who's incredibly young and on the up and up,
So he's not a
as
big
the shooting guard on
body.
this team. And then Paul George can interchange
Oh,
between the power forward and the small forward position. He, of course, is
he's
on a
not
bit of a
big.
decline at 35 years old, but of course, still a great pairing. So you'd be fighting either him or Kelly Oubre Jr. for the
Yeah,
starting
you want
small
to fight
forward position. And then you got some depth here on the bench. You got Andre Drummond at the center position. You got the rookie VJ Edgecombe
They don't
at
have
the
that many
shooting guard
small forwards.
position. And then you've got the veteran Kyle
You
Lowry
only got
and
two.
Eric Gordon off the bench, forming a big three with Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid, while also having some good veteran talent in Paul George and some young rookies.
We're just gonna look at every other team they got. So they had the Lakers at number one for small forward. He'll be playing with LeBron for about one season, and then that'd be about it. Cause you know he gonna retire. All right, for the power forward, first honorable mention is probably gonna be no, not honorable mention. They would do. All right, wait. Okay, so let's just forget the honorable mention. Oh, the honorable mention for the power forward will be the Lakers. I thought they were the one for the small forward. So yeah, the Lakers were the honorable mention for power forward. He got the Suns again. He threw the Suns in there again. Um, for the Suns will be in there for power forward. He threw the Spurs in there again for power forward. The Pistons, the Clippers again, and then still the Clippers. I think this is number one, which will be the Knicks again. He must love the Knicks, man. He loves the Knicks. I'm gonna just go through the centers. Honorable mention for the center is the Suns. Number five will be the Trailblazers. That's a new one. I ain't hear nobody mention the Trailblazers. The Hornets. They okay. For the center, you go to Hornets. You got LaMelo. You got Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, Spencer Dinwiddie. I didn't even know he was a point guard. I ain't gonna lie. I wouldn't choose him over LaMelo. I'll tell you that. The Indiana Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton. It'll be he out from 8 to 10 months. Hopefully he's not out at the start of the game, or else you might want to choose another team. Um, the Indiana Pacers. Okay, I don't really know much about these teams. You got the Celtics. Okay, this is all center positions. Uh, and then we got the Lakers. One more time. Why not? Just throw them in there. That's the final one. Um, appreciate y'all for watching. We're gonna get out of here. Oh boy, sits with a wingspan of 6'11". Hey, yeah. So I heard you can't go above 5 when it comes to your wingspan. I don't know. Has it always been that way, or is that something new? I don't know.